I don't know. This week has seemed like it hasn't kicked off fair, right, Daryl? I leave. I go from Cleveland. I go watch a Reds game in Cincinnati. I enjoy my weekend. I walk away. Kenny Pickett gets hurt. Emmanuel Clase on the side doing things that don't look very good. And then I was like, maybe it was just me. But now we're back and MJ's hurt too. So
yeah,
I think that we're just in disaster mode in Cleveland sports right now.
Yeah, it's been a bad 72 hours. No question about that.
So, Daryl, I mean, you were out there. MJ Emerson goes down with what's being called a torn Achilles. Run me through sort of what you saw on the play and the aftermath from it.
Yeah, I mean, he just was making a cut in coverage, and you heard him yell, and next thing you know, he's on the ground writhing in pain, and also frustration. His teammates immediately on the defensive side of the ball, there was during a 7-on-7 drill, immediately ran over to him. It was pretty, it took no time to realize that it was a serious injury, just by his own reaction. And they were able to finally get him up on his feet and onto a cart. One of his teammates, put a towel over his head because he was obviously crying. Kevin Stefanski, consoled him for a few moments. Denzel Ward, among others, came over to console him too, right as he was about to be carted off the field there. And the shame of it is, obviously, it appears this thing is ruptured and his season is over. We had just talked to him a few hours earlier, and he had been talking about just how excited he is to get out there and have a bounce back season and, be one of the key contributors out there defensively in the secondary. And now, obviously, that's not going to be realized, at least this particular season here. So it's a tough scene all around. Anytime you see a player go down, anytime you see a guy carted off the field, Jimmy Haslam was right there observing everything going on. Member of the staff gave him an update, and clearly it wasn't a good one because Jimmy Haslam's reaction to said update was one of frustration as well. So a very hard scene out there in Berea today with MJ Emerson suffering what I believe to be a season-ending Achilles injury.
Daryl, obviously, you feel for the player, the person out there, but when you look at the scope of the Browns, how big of a hit is this to the defense? I mean, MJ obviously didn't have his stellar year last year, but he was talking about wanting to have a bounce back year. And like you said, talking about how excited he was to get out there, knowing what Jim Schwartz's defense is, how big of a hit is this?
Yeah, it's a pretty big hit. There's no question about that. So, the onus now is going to have to fall on guys like, Tony Brown and, maybe Miles Harden gets some look there. Maybe they bring in somebody to help out. They got Anthony Kendall, Nick Needham's in camp as well. So yeah, this is a hit. Like let's not undersell this here. It's a pretty big deal that they lost him because to me he's a starter. Working alongside Denzel Ward there in that secondary. Cam Mitchell, who had a real nice interception today of Dylan Gabriel in a late period, 11-on-11 end of game fire drill type of a situation. Maybe his opportunity now increases too. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to try and fill those shoes. But yeah, I am not going to sit here and try and undersell the loss of MJ Emerson, despite him having a tough year last year. I do feel like this is a pretty significant blow to that secondary.
Our very own Daryl Ruiter with us here on the hotline. Daryl, if you look at this defense as a whole, if the Browns are going to find any sort of success this year, how much is that ride on the defense not just being good, but being to a level elite?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tough because look, the defense is expected right now to carry this thing, right? And they were number one in 2023. They were, they fell back last year, and obviously the team suffered as a result of that with the 3-14 finish. The expectation is they're going to bounce back this year. They're going to rebound. The defense is going to be the strength of this ball club again, while the offense just tries and, survives the 17-game season, right? With the quarterback situation being what that is. So, we're just, I expect that this is going to be a team carried on the defensive side of the ball. For me, the biggest challenge for them, they got to create turnovers. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. You know what I mean? If I had $1 for every football that bounced off Denzel Ward's hands, I'd be retired right now. And I'm not taking a shot at Denzel. Look, if Denzel could catch footballs, he'd be a wide receiver. And, oh, by the way, the Browns need help catching footballs at the wide receiver position too, right? So, if they can create some turnovers on the defensive side of the ball, I think that's going to help them. But yeah, it's it's a blow losing MJ, but the hope is that the defense is going to be able to carry the day pretty much on a weekly basis for them.
Daryl, obviously, pads off today. Can't do the 3 pads in a row for practices. But how have the quarterbacks looked since moving from, with the Kenny Pickett injury, from 4 guys in the competition, now momentarily at least down to 3? Because I know early on, we weren't thinking that they were looking so great.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's looked a little better, and I think the reason why is because the reps are now expanded a little bit, right? You're not sending guys in for 5 reps in and pulling them off. Now, there's been a couple, they're still doing that, right, with Dylan and Shedeur, but I feel like it's hard to establish anything as far as a rhythm and cadence and all those kinds of things. When you're going out, you're getting 3, maybe 4 or 5 reps in a 7-on-7 or an 11-on-11, and you got to come off and the next guy's got to get in there. And I'm not criticizing, but it's just reality. So I always say these things work themselves out. Unfortunately, Kenny Pickett did get hurt. Now he's still in this thing. If he's able to come back and practice next week in Carolina and practice the following week in Philadelphia, he's right back in this thing. But if he's out for an extended period of time, I got to be honest, I have to think that that's going to hurt his chances. And that's unfortunate. But I got to be honest with you, Jake, none of these quarterbacks really stand out. They just don't. Okay.
That's not a great feeling, Daryl. It's
no,
not a great thing.
It's just the offense has been, that's what the offense has been. Okay, it was a good sign today. Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel got him into field goal range in that less than minute to play. I call it the fire drill, the Mayday fire drill, right? Where you're trying to get down, you get in field goal range, you kill the clock, get off the field, get the field goal unit in, and get the kickoff. Now they didn't actually try the kicks, but they did that a couple of times, and a couple of times they did it without killing the clock. The clock was running. And they had to get set as it's going down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So, and they did it successfully. Kevin Stefanski is working game situations here, but it's just common sense. One less guy on the field means extended reps for the other guys, which should then lead to a better look offensively. And we've seen a little bit of that the last couple of days. The quarterbacks certainly are playing better today than they were, 4 or 5 days ago.
Again, Daryl Ruiter with us. Daryl, so we sort of bounce back. Obviously, it's easier with 3 than 4, but how have you assessed at least the 4-man competition? Does it feel like they're running it as efficiently as you possibly could when there are 4 guys out there, knowing that there's going to be limited reps? Or there's things that feel like maybe they could be done differently? Because Jimmy Haslam spoke today, and he said that he felt the handling of it was at least going well.
And that he wants to see the rookies this year.
Yeah.
And that Kevin knows that. That caught my attention. Here's how I view the quarterback competition. Joe Flacco's your starter. Kenny Pickett, though, was getting an honest opportunity to take the job from Joe. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're preparing Dylan Gabriel to play. And I feel like with Shedeur, they're trying to work on his game, develop him, and I don't know that they want to play Shedeur this year. With all due respect for what Jimmy Haslam said today, I feel like they're preparing Dylan Gabriel to play more than they're preparing Shedeur to play, because Shedeur has not gotten a single first-team rep at this point. And I don't know how you can call the 4-man quarterback competition if you're not giving all 4 quarterbacks first-team reps, okay? So that is the lens with which I look at this, in air quotes, 4-man quarterback competition. I think it's a 2-man race. Get Dillon Gabriel ready to play at some point this year, and then Shedeur, get him fitted for his redshirt season.
So do you think it's fair at this point to say that Shedeur is out of the competition for week 1 at the very least?
Yeah. I mean, from my standpoint, now hang on. If we're being journalistically factual, no, it's not accurate to say that. But if we're going by the 4-eyeball test, which is what I'm going by, then yes, it is. He's not starting week 1 against the Bengals.
Do you think he's going to get first-team reps at any point? Like, with the actual ones out there, obviously, like, there's a potential that he could go out, he could start a preseason game, but you think that the starters probably wouldn't be out there in any capacity? Do you think that he gets reps with the ones at any point, or is this that kind of like you were alluding to, just kind of working him off to the side and get everybody else ready?
I have no indications that he's going to get them. I'm not going to sit here and say, no, he's not, because I don't think that's fair. And I understand why you asked the question. It's legit, right? Yep. It's the question that I'm asking. Hey, are we ever going to see Shedeur get some? And you know what? Maybe I'll fire that at Kevin first thing tomorrow morning as he's walking down with his cup of coffee to come talk to us before practice, which will be at 9:30 in the morning. I think I'm going to fire that question. Hey, are we ever going to see Shedeur with the first-team offense at any point? And how do you call this a legit 4-man competition if you're not giving the kid first-team reps? Like, again, factually, maybe it could happen, right? Don't want to rule anything out, but just based on what I've seen with my 4 eyes, I'd say, yeah, absolutely not. It just doesn't seem like that's going to be in the cards.
Daryl, I actually thought that Jimmy had some really interesting things. I mean, you pointed out, obviously, the rookie quarterbacks, wanting to see them play, I thought caught my eye. Another one was obviously speaking to the confidence that he had in Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, because he boasted that up and then also dropped the lines of last year was a disaster, 3-14, can't happen again.
Right.
Where is the actual feeling? Like, Jimmy says one thing, at least to you, where is the feeling on how much confidence there is behind Berry and Stefanski and their job not being on the hot seat?
Well, a couple things. I don't think he spoke in terms of they're on the hot seat. I think he spoke in terms of he's hoping this thing goes better than 3-14 so he doesn't have to fire them and can give them another year, okay? Give them another year to actually have a quarterback. Here's the thing. For all the folks that want to run these guys out of town, the 2 years the Browns got competent quarterback play, they made the playoffs, okay? So these guys can do this. They need the quarterback. You can't win without a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback this year, okay? They're going to try and get through this season with what they have. But they don't have a quarterback this year, okay? So I think that in Jimmy's heart of hearts, he wants this thing to go better than 3-14 so he doesn't have to fire them. Because patience was like the theme of the day. You know, we're putting Humpty Dumpty back together. Last year was a disaster. Deshaun, disaster, right? We don't have a franchise quarterback. That's a disaster. But I got good guys here. I got good, smart guys, but I also know my fans aren't going to tolerate another 3-14. I'm going to have to fire people if that happens again. So that's how I took his comments. He has no intention of firing Kevin and Andrew and has every intention of bringing them back. They're not on the hot seat, but if we're looking at another 3-win season, he's going to have to probably revisit that.
Again, Daryl Ruiter with us here on the hotline. Is there any sort of, I get like it's not going to be a moral victory. People aren't going to feel good about it. But is it almost a positive sign to hear Jimmy just flat out admit, like, last year was a disaster, own up to it in a way, and be like, we're trying to get better?
Yeah, just wear it. Because here's the thing. If you wear it, that absolutely kills the criticism. It's like okay, you're hanging out with some friends and, they're giving you a hard time, right? They're joking. But this is what I like to do. I always make the joke about myself before it gets out of their mouth. Because once I say it, they got nothing. I stole their punchline, right? And I feel like that's what Jimmy's doing. He's taken on the responsibility of the shortcomings, and then what that does is it lowers the temperature of the criticism. Because what else do you expect him to say, right? He admitted last year was a disaster. He's on the record admitting that the Deshaun Watson thing has been a disaster and hasn't worked. So there's really nothing to criticize right now because he's already admitted it. He's already fell on the sword. And so, yeah, I just feel like there isn't much more to say other than you just hope things go a lot better this year for them.
All right, Daryl, I didn't want to have to ask it, but I feel like when he commented on today, I feel like I kind of have to ask it. He leaves the door open for Deshaun again. Is that just, you have to say it
Lip
with the
service.
question out there? Yeah.
Lip
Okay.
service. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because look, there's a collective bargaining agreement here. Okay.
Right.
They have to provide facilities. They have to provide the opportunity, right? Deshaun is to, let's also be fair here. Deshaun's doing his part behind the scenes. He's in the team meetings. He's participating in all that kind of stuff. He's counseling the quarterbacks. He's doing his own rehab work. So, they have to leave the door open, right? And Jimmy or D are not going to go out there and say, yeah, Deshaun's done playing for the Cleveland Browns. They can't do that because then all of a sudden you set up a grievance situation. So I think privately, Deshaun's days of playing football here are over. He's going to collect his full $230 million. They're going to pay what feels like, I think, $50 million per victory from him, and that's going to be it. But from a procedural standpoint, yeah, they do. I mean, that's why he's on active PUP and things like that. You never say never, but at this point, I kind of feel like if we ever see Deshaun Watson on the field again playing for the Cleveland Browns, I would be stunned.
I think I'd be in the same boat. Daryl, before we get you out of here in the last minute or so, anything stick out to you? I know that they were asked a few questions, both Jimmy and D, about stadium, the process going along, where they're at, and everything else. Anything stick out to you from that?
Yeah, they're 99.9% sure they're doing this thing. They're doing. I'll give you folks an update. Site survey going on right now for utilities. They're going to start moving some dirt in October and get things ready to go. They'll have a ceremonial groundbreaking, and though ground will already be broke. They're going to have a ceremonial groundbreaking probably in February, maybe March at the latest. They got to get that pit dug out because they hope to start putting in foundations and raising some steel in the middle of next year. So a lot's got to happen in a very short amount of time. The design process is pretty much complete. They've been working on it for a few years. So, yeah, they're full steam ahead. They're going to try it. They're still reaching out with the olive branch to the county and as well as Mayor Justin Bibb of Cleveland. And, they'd like to sit down and kind of get all this worked out so that everybody can move forward. But it doesn't seem like the county, it doesn't seem like Justin Bibb are all that interested in cooperating.
Daryl, as always, appreciate you being gracious with your time. And hopefully the next time we talk, maybe a little bit more positive things to talk about out of training camp. That'd be a good note.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But hey, I don't control the news cycle.
No, we do not. Daryl, appreciate you.
You betcha. Thanks, bud.